Hello, 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 and welcome back to WorkHARDaholics. This is Shirley Crawford, your favorite workahardaholic. Okay, the original workahardaholic. We hope you enjoyed last week's show with our special guest host, Joanne Mayo. Welcome to the WorkHARDaholic Show with your host, the original workahardaholic, Shirley Crawford, author, speaker, and small business consultant for over 20 years, helping you to work hard, play harder, and business better. Okay, so part of the reason why you all had a guest host last week, other than the fact that Joanne is amazing and fabulous and wonderful, and you're welcome for me sharing her with you and your world. So here's the deal. Last week we had the Diva Mastermind Retreat, which was something I'm super proud of. I'm super proud of the way the event went. I'm super proud of the ladies who engaged and participated and who really allowed themselves to be transparent so that the work could really be done. And so it was an amazing week-long adventure down in Outer Banks, North Carolina. And so here's the deal. Doing the retreat is something that I've been asked to do in part for some time. And so I thought it'd be a beautiful exclamation point to add into the paragraph of the legacy that I'm offering this world. And so the week-long adventure was just that. We had lots of time every morning we started off with our morning motivation, morning meditation. And so all the ladies got to decide if they wanted to go down to the beach or if they wanted to do it in their room or however they wanted to accomplish it. They had morning assignments. And then that was followed up with what was everyone's favorite. Yes, I mean that sarcastically. It was the hot seat. So here is 15 minutes. You have 5 minutes to share what your message, your mission, your purpose, your product, your service, your idea, whatever it was. And here's the thing that I found amazing. How many of you all can succinctly share your mission in a minute, 2 sentences or less? I'm listening. I'm waiting for an answer. I know the answer. Most of you can't. And do you know why? Because we're not practicing. We're not harnessing our message. We talk all over the place. We're talking about everything, but we're not getting down to the nitty-gritty of what's important, what matters. And so when we're trying to convey it to someone else, how can you? How can I buy into your new product, your new service, your new idea when you can't explain it to me? I don't have time to waste. Most people don't have time like that. That's why it's called an elevator pitch. How much time it takes you to go from the first floor to the floor where the person's office is. How quickly can you tell your message? So a part of that was very simply, they started off, they have 5 minutes, which should be enough, right? To say, here's my issue, personal, physical, emotional, spiritual, business, whatever it is. And then they have 10 minutes of the rest of the team, the rest of the women, the rest of the participants, basically frying them, cooking them up, grilling up their idea, slicing and dicing through what they thought they wanted it. And here's the thing. Some of us are uncomfortable being out front. Some of us are so accustomed to being in the background that when all eyes on me, we think we want it, but when it happens, we feel a certain way. We feel like we're under a microscope. And it does feel that way. That's why it's called a hot seat, people, because it makes you feel like you're cooking. Okay? And so, but the feedback was so amazing to make sure that each woman understood that she was seen, recognized, acknowledged, her issues were understandable. And then better yet, to have that beta group that could actually focus in and say, okay, I hear your thought. I hear your plan. Have you considered these steps? Have you considered this resource? Have you considered? Can you imagine not just having my brain, but a room full of other brains in the room to comment on the idea, the thought, the process that you're going through? It was amazing. And then we followed up each day. We had seminars and sessions. They went from everything on personal branding, know your value, know your worth, of course, which is my first time teaching that seminar. And all about attacking and addressing the imposter syndrome. So all in all, it was an amazing time. And what I enjoyed the most was that when the sessions were over, you had time to decompress. So you didn't have to just run back to the next meeting, run back to the next event. You had time to back away from the group if you needed to. Go down to the water, either to the ocean or over to the sound, because it's the Outer Banks, and have a moment with yourself to really think about, to internalize what you heard, to internalize what you learned, and not just give that automatic, like, yeah, okay, I got it, and moving on. So for me, it was part of the beauty of the experience. And I also love these new relationships that were developed, and even the other relationships that were built stronger, and to feel comfortable in saying, yeah, I'm a diva. What about it? Like, is that supposed to be a problem? And so overall, I just wanted to share with you all. One, thank you to everyone who participated. Thank you to everyone who made it happen. Thank you to Power Up Video. Thank you to Imagine Media Lab. Thank you to 25/8 Event Planning, who did our catering. Thank you to Tony Danielle, who did our event planning. Thank you to that dynamic duo who also assisted with Kimberly and Kyler, who also helped with our videography and photography. Thank you to our sponsors, SL Media. If you're looking for someone to help you with your social media, check out Sakenya. I didn't mean that. I'm so sorry. I've had Sakenya on the mind because I got a newsletter from this morning. Check out Shakita Leigh. That's SL Media. Ashley Jefferson of Very Ashley. If you saw the videos of our lovely reception, speaking of our lovely reception, special shout out to the Onyx Ensemble. We were honored to have what I always call those green girls who are part of the Onyx Ensemble, and they were amazing with the harp and the flute, and it was right by the pool, and the candles were lit. It was an amazing ambiance, and they were so stellar. I can't say a word. Thank you to, I don't want to forget anybody. I said Tony Danielle, we had our caterer. Don't you worry. We'll be sharing with you all the information from everyone who participated. But I was talking about my amazing dress, I was the woman in not the devil in a blue dress, but the amazing diva in a blue dress that I got from Very Ashley. And we also received a gift card that we raffled off. And so it was an amazing time. So thank you even to Coach Hall, who does the workout on Wednesdays, who made some contributions to our raffle as well. And so don't you worry, we'll share their logos, we'll share that information because we believe in supporting one another. Don't we? Yes, we do. Okay, so one of the things that I draw away from the retreat itself, I came back, literally, I left out Sunday morning at the crack of dawn, went straight to church and came home, and I was so pumped up. I was so energized, and I was sitting in my journal and I was writing down, oh, I'm going to do this now. And I felt focused. I felt focused because as an entrepreneur, we always have like 10 different things that we're thinking about. Like, oh, I'm going to do this one. I'm going to do this. As we always say with Christina, where I was talking about our squirrel moments. That's how, as an entrepreneur, that's where we live. We're constantly like, oh, I gotta. The retreat helped me to get my focus back and my alignment back. So I actually came back and I made a list of this is what I'm going to do next. This is what's super important. This is what's going on. This is what I'm going to do. And I started working on not just the goal, but the sub points to each part of that goal. I really started focusing on my legacy and how I measure success and what success means. If you want to do the same, let's talk more right after this commercial break.
Wouldn't it be convenient and safe to communicate with your dentist, pediatrician, medical doctor, or mental health professional anywhere you are without actually traveling to our medical centers?
Well, you can with a televisit at your local Capital Area Health Network. Call us at 780-0840 or
go to cahealthnet.org.
Find out how a televisit may be your best option. We are the Capital Area Health Network, the heart of the community.
Life can be a struggle. Find hope, healing, and answers at the Abundant Life Church of Christ, a place to encounter God through uplifting worship, singing, prayer, the preach word, and fellowship. One step can change your life. One step could shift your destiny. There has never been a better time to take that step than now. Come be our guest every Sunday at 10 a.m. at the Abundant Life Church of Christ, a place where you belong.
Welcome back. Okay, I always have this whole vision of Welcome Back, Carter. And for those who aren't old enough for that, then bear with me. I am. Okay, so we've been talking about or leading up to this conversation about our legacy. When I think about legacy, or even before I get to like really focusing on legacy, I think about How do I measure success? So a lot of times we go, I have this goal, I want to accomplish it. And I talked about it probably a few weeks ago about you can have a goal, but is it really the right measurement? Are you using the right KPIs? Are you using the right indicators to show you that you truly are successful? So I have a financial goal, right? But it's not about the money. Not about money. It's really not about the money. It's about what the money affords me, the opportunity that it provides me. And so when I talk about how I measure success, does anyone remember? I say it all the time. Anyone remember how I measure success? Okay. God bless. I've been having all this dental work done. But hey, we're working our way through. I measure success by two things. How you measure is up to you, and that's what you have to figure out. I measure success by two things. One, that I am able to do whatever, I'm able to be there for my mother, whenever, however, wherever she wants, period. I often use this example of when she said one of the things she wanted was to travel across the country by train. So I did that, set that all up, took her across the country, stopped and saw my aunt in Ohio, kept going over to California, went down to Texas, saw my niece and my great nephews and great niece and the whole nine. And then we got there and she was just like, the train is getting complicated. I want to fly. So for many of us, if we're not financially stable, we think, oh, I can't do that. No problem whatsoever. Was able to buy that plane ticket and whisk her right away. That to me is one of my number one measurements of success. My second measurement is that when I want to travel, when I want to go, when I want to move, if I want to go to Paris tomorrow, I want to be like, I'm gone. For many of you, your life isn't set up such that one, your business will survive, your surroundings will survive, your people will survive. Most of us, or you're like, oh, I can't afford that. Oh, I can't do that. I can't do that. To me, that's why that is such a great measurement for success. That says that the rest of my life is set up and orchestrated in the way that it needs to be so that I, at the drop of a dime, can be off to, I'll say it again, Paris tomorrow. All right? So for you, what does success look like? That's the question we're asking. It's not by anyone else's measurement. It's not by what some other external, exterior, whatever. What does it look like for you? When you're setting goals for your business, when you are establishing what needs to happen for your XYZ corporation to thrive and survive, what does that boil down to? What are those metrics? As we said, what are those KPIs? And if you haven't thought about it before, think about it now. We do this whole, hamster in a wheel deal. We get up every day, we go to work, we do the bidding of others, we go home, we do the bidding of others, we go to sleep. We wake up the next day and we do it all over and over and over again. Are you successful? You could be making 6 figures. You could be making 7. Are you successful? Is that what it was all about? Are you working day and night? And then you hope one day you can take a break. One day you can have a good vacation. One day you can think about your desires, your accomplishments, the things that you want to have in life. The reason that people wake up and have a midlife crisis is because it was the middle of their lives before they realized that, hey, this is my one life and I need to do something with it. So y'all know I love quantifiable goals, all about them. How are you measuring your success? What does it look like? What does it look like emotionally, physically, spiritually, professionally, entrepreneurially? What does it look like? All right. So a lot of times we're chasing the dollar, but is that the thing that makes you happy? There are so many people who are rich with a capital R and still are doing themselves harm, are unhappy, or are sad because money isn't everything. Money answers a lot of things. So like I talk about my measure of success, it requires money, but money isn't my be all end all. It's a part of my path to the journey of my purpose towards my passion that I'm looking to accomplish. What is it for you? Especially now that we're entering this final quarter of the year. 2023 is almost over. We started January with resolutions and ideas and vision and motivation and passion. We were going to lose 50 pounds. We were going to make $5,000 more a month. We were going to spend more time with the kids. We were going to, but stats and studies show that resolutions are actually ended long before January is over. Most people make it in 2 weeks. How long did you last? Are you still doing that thing you started off to do? Did you accomplish any of the things that were on your resolutions list? I know the answer for most of you. But there's some exceptions, and I'm proud of you. Good for you. But that would be the exception. Success would be the exception, not the rule. If you only did it as a resolution. If you made some quantifiable goals, you got up each morning and set out the goals of what you were going to accomplish for the day. You made it in bite-sized portions so that you didn't feel overwhelmed. You came back in that evening to check off to say, hey, I did do what I said I was going to do. I did accomplish what I was going to say. Or better yet, I didn't. Today I got distracted by what? Take the time to figure out what were the things that I allowed to derail me. What were the things that I allowed? Who were the people that I let override my objectives for this day? And then when you're aware of it, you know how to curtail it. So if you know that, and I've said it before, if you know that you are a morning person, that you are most productive in the morning, at 3 o'clock, you're probably zonked out and of no good to anyone. So why are you scheduling your most important meaty items at 3 o'clock? You know better. It's time to do better. So as we're ending up, I can't believe this year is like basically, it's cold outside. I have on a scarf, although I do love scarves. But the time of year has changed. And if you didn't know it internally, externally, you should now recognize the season is switching. The times are changing. What's going on with you? What's going on with your business? What's going on with those goals that you set? Those resolutions that you made? Are you any step closer? Are you any way at all closer to accomplishing that which you said you're going to do for your big 2023? Did you start that new business? Did you start that new service? Did you write that book? Are you still lacking in the motivation to move yourself beyond mile marker 1 so that you can get the job done? Take this time now to start, recognize where you are so that we can help you move towards your goal being accomplished. All right. We'll be back again in just a moment. Ladies, are you looking to move your office from your kitchen table to a space of your own? Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Are you looking for co-working and community? Well, then come join us at the Women's Business Center, RVA, located at 1510 Willow Lawn Drive, Suite 100, directly across the street from the Kroger at Willow Lawn. Visit us on the web at wbcrva.com or on social media at WBCRVA. Welcome back. Okay, to my right, your left, I have none other than Leigh Battle. Welcome to the show, Leigh.
Thank you, Shirley.
We've been talking for a while about having Leigh on. And of course, now that it's October, it's the perfect time. Because Leigh is a Medicare specialist. Okay, admittedly, she has a lot of hats. You know how we are as entrepreneurs. We do all kinds of things. And part of the reason why we've been so excited about having Leigh is because it is October and it is
annual enrollment period, which begins October the 15th and ends December the 7th.
Okay, so am I enrolling? Who's enrolling? What is it like?
Okay, it is if you're aging into 65, and you have disabilities, now is the time to enroll in Medicare. Medicare, I always tell people, it's a privilege. It's not like that you owe the government, but if you have earned the right to become Medicare, you need to enroll. Otherwise, if you don't, you can be penalized.
Oh, what's that mean?
Well, if you have retired and you get your Medicare card, your A, then you need to enroll in B if you're retired, because if you don't in sufficient time, I'm sorry, but you will get penalized 1%.
Ooh, and we want all our money. We want everything
all our money. And like I said, Medicare is something that you've earned. It's not like you owe. The government owes you anything. You have earned it. Mm-hmm. So you must participate in it. Because 10,000 people turn 65 daily.
I am not one of them yet. It's not time for me to enroll.
No, not yet. No, not yet.
So here's the thing that I find really interesting. So I think I've mentioned before, because my mom has Medicare, and that means all of her friends have Medicare,
Right.
that there's so many different types of coverage and packages that they can get,
Exactly.
like based on like what drugs they're taking. So even for someone who had Medicare, it's good for them to like take this time to
do an overhaul on their Medicare, because every year things may change.
Mm-hmm.
Congress may say that the meds are different this year than it was before. So you definitely want to make sure that you do an overhaul on your Medicare annually.
And that's no joke. So I don't say this lightly. So I use my mother as my example. So like her medications change.
Mhm.
So like before, we expect to be in the donut hole. Don't worry, Leigh can tell you about that.
Right.
We expect to be in the donut hole the month of December.
Mm.
This year,
Mhm.
she was in the donut hole in July.
Wow. Well, actually, that means that she starts off with her medication in the initial coverage, which there's a minimum amount. Then it dips down at a certain time, depending on how much you paid into Medicare. So it kind of like you paid your deductibles, you paid all of that. But what I have just found out recently, that some of the medications that cause you to go into the donut hole beginning July 2024, it's going to change a little bit. So that might help your mother. But that's something I can talk to your mother with one-on-one.
I told her we were going to have a conversation with you. I really did.
Yeah.
And so for those of you who don't know, like I always think about a donut as being a beautiful, wonderful thing.
Mm-hmm.
But in the middle of the donut, there's air. And so what happens is for most of the plans, and Leigh will correct me if I'm wrong.
This is D. This is your prescription.
Part D. See how we didn't even get into all that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Part D of your Medicare plan, you can get like these policies, and Leigh helps you go through like what you do and how you can potentially like find the plan that matches up with you. And then so in her case, we had this policy. It's worked great for the past few years, but it switched her medications. So now the medications she's taking are ones that don't have a generic.
Right. Exactly.
And so that meant her end of what she pays for her drugs got to be so high that there's a cap on how much the policy will pay you for or towards your drug. Mm-hmm. And when you pass it, you have to foot the bill.
Right.
As long as you're in the hole.
Right.
So that's another reason to make sure you speak to someone like Leigh. Bring your information about like what prescriptions you're on, what medications, which doctor you have, all that good information.
All of that. And we take a look at that, and I do on a needs assessment. And once I do that, I look up your drugs. I make sure that your drugs are in the network of what's the best plan for you for your drugs, so you will not get in the donut hole.
Yeah, because the donut hole
is not a good place to be.
It's not fun.
Yeah.
I also know, so first, for those people who are watching or listening, if you're not the one who's turning 65, but your mom is, like I know many of us are in this elder care space, then how can they reach you so they can get more information?
Well, first of all, my company is called Senior to Senior. And I chose that name because I'm in it with everyone else, and I need to know where we are within. And that's what happened with me initially. I chose the wrong plan, not having an understanding of it. So they can reach me at my telephone number is 804-516-4822, or they can email me at Leigh Battle, first and last name, aurava@gmail.com.
And that's
or my son.
Leiga.
Yes, it is. Leiga. Thank you. And they also can go to my website, seniortosenior.com. www.senior2senior.com. Or if it's easier, just go to MedicareWithLeigh.com.
Okay, there you go. So don't say you didn't know. You have no excuses. We told you. But I also know you have an event coming up.
I do. This coming Saturday, October 21st. I'm having a Medicare educational forum. And basically, we're not going to be discussing any particular plan as such, but we would get the nuts and bolts of Medicare. How does it work? When is it time to enroll? When you shouldn't enroll? What A and B means, and just give you an overview of Medicare, which could be helpful in your decision making, so you make sure that you don't make the wrong mistake.
Hey, so if you are a caregiver or you are a senior or approaching that status, then you can come to the event.
Right. On October the 21st from 10 to 1 at 1510 Willow Lawn Drive.
Directly across the street from the Kroger at Willow Lawn. You know, I know that
Exactly.
one. Okay, so once again, tell them how they can reach you.
Well, you can reach me at my telephone number is 804-516-4822. Email Leigh Battle, and that's Leigh Battle, RVA at gmail.com. And of course, you can always go to my website. And actually, I would like for you to go to my website to sign up if you're going to be coming, because we're going to have a light lunch. And I'd like to know how many people to register, right? Okay.
Indeed. Thank you, Leigh, so very much for that information. But once again, when is the cutoff for enrollment?
Well, the cutoff for enrollment is from October the 15th to December the 7th.
But there are special circumstances.
There are certain special circumstances, but you do need to know if it's time for you to enroll, you need to enroll in that time frame. If not, you have to wait to the next AEP. And there are some different circumstances depending on what one you choose, Medicare program. But for the most part, between October the 15th and December the 7th, that is the time you want to contact myself, hopefully, and I can help you with your Medicare.
All right. So the time starts now, people. Reach out to Leigh, attend the event, get the information that you need for yourself, for your mom, your dad, or that special someone in your life. All right. Right now, we're going to go to a commercial break, but we want to first say thank you once again to Leigh.
Thank you.
For sharing that information with us and with you. All right. See you after this break.
Listen, attorney Alex Taylor is a soldier in a suit, defending anyone with criminal charges, DUIs, and more. Call Alex Taylor, your soldier in a suit, at 804-500-5000.
I'm Alex Taylor. Don't face your criminal charges alone. Put a former prosecutor with 30 years of experience on your side. Let me show you how a soldier fights for your freedom.
Call 804-500-5000 or go to alextaylorlaw.com.
All right. We've been talking about legacy. We've been talking about it's the end of the year. We're getting ready for a new one, and talking about the steps that are necessary for you to accomplish the goals, desires, dreams that you set out. So before, when we talked about figuring out what those dreams are, like what's your measurement of success? How do you figure out, how do you get there and know that you've arrived? So the beautiful thing about GPS is that it tells you at the end, you are here. How do you know that you've done what you set out to do? A lot of times when your goals are just financial, then what happens is you accomplish that financial goal, you start spending more, and so you end up feeling like you still don't have enough, or that there's more to be gained. When money is your only goal, you'll always want more. It will never be enough. Enough is never enough when your goal is financial. Okay? But whatever your goal, we want to start off by helping you to recognize how to make them quantifiable. When I talk about quantifiable goals, we always go quantifiable or qualitative. Qualitative is the quality of it. How does it make you feel? It's often not directly measurable. You kind of have an idea, but it's like, I'm happy today, I'm happy tomorrow, I'm sad today, I'm sad tomorrow. It's hard to measure. But quantifiable goals, you can always measure. You can always see, I started out at 1, I'm at 10. 10 is greater than 1. Or I've slipped back by 4. It's part of the reason why, like for people who have weight goals, we generally go by either our BMI or the scale. Although there are some people out there who say you shouldn't go by scale, you shouldn't measure yourself too frequently, because that's why they created BMI, because the scale doesn't truly tell you the end result. It tells you the number, but that could be muscle, that could be fat, that could be water, it could be all kinds of things. So that's why they like for you to have other measurements than just the scale, okay? But as an example, it's measurable. You can see the beginning, you can see the end, you can put the marker, you can put a hand on it. But that can be applied to almost anything in your life. Almost anything. So if your real goal is to grow up children who are good citizens in this world? That sounds qualitative, doesn't it? It sounds very vague, like even a little bit hokey, like how do you do that? Well, what you do is you look at the goal and you see what are the components, especially which components can be measured. So I would say if this were my goal and I were looking at the children around me to figure out how do I help them to be better citizens in this world? How do you measure that? Well, I would think if every time they got $1 that they were thinking about the homeless person on the street, they wanted to donate, they want to give. So I'm looking at their levels of giving with their money and their time. And so especially for young kids who want to spend their time watching videos, playing games, doing whatever, if they are willing to say, hey, it's time for our annual, Thanksgiving dinner to go feed the homeless. It's time there's a kid in my class who has a need and I want to give. If I can measure how many times that they ask me for something and how many times it's not for them, I can quantify that. I can quantify what they do with their allowance. I can quantify those aspects of it. How much time are they willing to volunteer? How much of their time do they give? And here's the other side of that. If I use that as my measurement, then I can also make sure that's what I'm encouraging. So I can say, look at my example. And I say that slowly for a cause, because we often want things out of others that we ourselves aren't willing to give. But you lead by example. Like I can talk all day about entrepreneurship and giving to my community, but if you don't see me out there doing it, what does it mean? And especially if we're talking about, if your real goal were to grow up entrepreneurs, then are you teaching them about money? Are you teaching them about business? Do they have their own business? How much money are they making? Do you know how many millionaires are kids these days? There are a ton. And so a lot of times we look at the things that they are investing in, and not to be a whole sidebar about the kids, but if this were your goal, it's a great time because I really want you to be thinking about the legacy of your life. There's a whole world beyond you. You are a part of this. What's your contribution? So oftentimes when we think about that, we think about next generation. So, hey, let's talk about the kids for just a moment. Okay. I do believe the children are the future. I'm not going to sing it for you right now. Just understand I do. Okay. So with that in mind, how are you training them up to be the better citizen that you desire for them to be? Are you showing them example of what that looks like? If you're trying to build up an entrepreneur, then yes, as I said before, they should have that childhood lemonade stand. They should bake cookies and sell them, potentially, if that's an area that they're good at. They can make things. They can do things. And a lot of times we look at some of these younger entrepreneurs with disdain, right? So how many of you have critiqued or criticized that kid on TikTok doing that video, or even doing that outlandish trip that doesn't look all that safe? I'm not a fan of those, of the unsafe tricks. But here's the thing, they're making money. The more of you, they understand that there is an entrepreneurial spirit to social media. So they're making the YouTube videos. They're doing the dances. Yes, sometimes it's about being seen by other people, but a lot of that is also the fact that they can get ad revenue. How many of you adults have ad revenue from your social media? I mean, point blank, period. How many of you are making money from the contribution that you're making in this whole creator space? Your kids probably know how. If anything, I suggest you as a family come together and figure out how can we make money on this whole internet thing? And so for all those young people who are out there, I'm going to mention one. I don't generally, but I will mention one. I am fascinated by how much money Ryan's World makes. If you haven't heard of it, you don't have young kids. That's the bottom line. But here's the deal. I go into the store. If I go into almost any well-known retail store that provides things other than just clothes, I will find Ryan's World kitchen set, Ryan's World laundromat, Ryan's World surprise eggs, Ryan's World vending machine, Ryan's World, everything. So much so I'm going, okay, who is Ryan's World? To learn that my great niece and probably some of my great nephews watch this show. And it's a young boy. It's a young boy who's there with his family. And they're doing things that are out now just, I don't want to say stupid, but you get the drift. They sit there and play a game and you watch them. They share the things that they do silly things, and you watch them, and they've built up this audience to the point that I know this is $1 million kid. And he's what? I don't know. Is he even 10 years old yet? I don't even think so. But here's the exact point. Whatever you want to build up, the legacy that you want to make, it's time now to sow into that. Set the goals, make it as quantifiable as possible, make sure that you're following those measurements, and share those goals with others to be accountable. And then you too can be the next Ryan's World. Until next time, as we always say, live better, do better, be better, and happy entrepreneuring. Ta-ta.
Like, share, subscribe, repeat. Like, share, subscribe, repeat. 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 Thanks for tuning in to WorkHARDaholics. Support our show by following on YouTube and all major social media platforms at WorkHARDaholic. Until next week, happy entrepreneuring.